The breaking point is your making point, part 1 of 6, inspired by Napoleon Hill. It was a cold winter evening in Ohio, and a young man sat alone in a small wooden cabin, his head buried in his hands. Everything seemed to have fallen apart at once. He had lost his job at the mill. His savings were gone. His friends had quietly disappeared. Even his health seemed to be slipping away. "I must have done something wrong," he whispered to himself. "Why is life punishing me like this?" Little did he know that this season of breaking, the crushing weight of problems, the endless nights of worry, was not punishment at all. It was preparation. And if you've ever felt like life has broken you apart, I want you to know something important. The breaking is not where your story ends. It is where your real transformation begins. Why some break and some become diamonds. Let me tell you a little story about two stones buried deep beneath the earth's surface. One stone is coal, black and ordinary. The other, hidden nearby, is destined to become a diamond. Both stones faced the same conditions: tremendous pressure, crushing weight, heat that could melt steel. Coal breaks apart, crumbles, and disappears into dust. The diamond, however, does not crumble. Under that same pressure, it transforms into one of the most valuable and beautiful things on earth. Now, here's the truth most people never realize: you are not coal. You are a diamond in the making. Every bit of pressure, every setback, every heartbreak in your life right now is shaping you into something stronger and more valuable than you've ever been before. But here's the catch: you must endure the pressure long enough to be transformed. Most people quit before the process is complete. They look at the breaking, the heat, the difficulty, and they run. They hide. They complain. They tell themselves they are victims of bad luck. But the rare few, the ones who dare to chase true success, decide to face the breaking head on. And when they do, something remarkable happens. The tree in the storm. Imagine a tree standing tall in the middle of a violent storm. The wind howls, rain lashes against it, branches bend until they nearly snap. To the outside eye, it looks like the tree might not survive the night. But what most people don't see is what's happening underground. The storm is forcing that tree's roots to dig deeper, to anchor themselves more firmly into the soil. And when the storm finally passes, the tree stands not weaker, but stronger, its roots unshakable, its trunk more resilient than before. That tree is you. The storm you are facing today is not destroying you, it is rooting you. It is preparing you to stand taller, stronger, and more solid than you ever thought possible. Broken, but not defeated. There's a moment in every life when the walls seem to close in. Maybe you've felt it. You lose your job and your bank account is empty. The people you thought would support you vanish when you need them most. Your health declines, and you wonder how much longer you can keep going. This is what I call the breaking point. Now, here's the powerful secret. The breaking point is also your making point. Think of every great man or woman you admire. Do you think they lived easy, comfortable lives? Do you think success came to them while they sat in a rocking chair sipping lemonade? No. Their success was born in struggle. Their character was forged in fire. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before he became president. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he discovered the light bulb. Henry Ford went bankrupt before he built the car company that changed America. These men were broken, but they refused to stay broken. Why pain is a gift in disguise. Here's something I want you to remember whenever life feels unbearable. Pain is not punishment. Pain is a gift. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels unfair. But pain is life's way of showing you what you're really made of. Every time you are knocked down, you have a choice. You can stay down and let the pain defeat you. Or you can rise stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. When you feel like you have nothing left to lose, that is when you discover the fire inside you. That is when you find out who you truly are. And let me tell you a little secret most people never understand. When you reach the point where everything has been taken away, your money, your comforts, your excuses, you are finally free. Free to rebuild. Free to create. Free to become the person you were always meant to be. A personal decision now, my friend. You must decide. Will you let the breaking destroy you, or will you let it shape you? This is the question every great achiever has answered at some point in their life. The truth is simple. Those who achieve greatness are not the ones who avoid pain. They are the ones who embrace it, learn from it, and keep going anyway. You see, success does not come to the ones who never fall. Success comes to the ones who fall 10 times and get back up 11. The chapter ahead. So, as you sit here reading these words, perhaps with struggles heavy on your shoulders, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not being destroyed. You are being prepared. The same way fire purifies gold, the same way storms strengthen trees, the same way pressure creates diamonds, life is shaping you into something greater than you can yet imagine. Your breaking point is not the end. It is the beginning of your transformation. And in the next chapter, we will explore something even deeper. Why God Himself allows this breaking to happen, and why only those He trusts the most are tested with the greatest trials. Because the truth is this: your test is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of trust. End of part 1. Backhand index pointing right. Would you like me to continue writing part 2 right away in the same Napoleon Hill story style, so the flow keeps building? God tests those He trusts, part 2 of 6, inspired by Napoleon Hill. It was the middle of the Great Depression. A struggling painter in New York carried his canvas down the crowded street, heart heavy with rejection. Once again, the gallery owner had turned him away. Not good enough, they said. The man sat on a park bench, clutching his work, wondering if he should give up. Everyone else seemed to succeed so easily. Why was the world against him? But here's the truth: the world wasn't against him. Life was training him. His rejections were not punishment, they were preparation. Every no was chiseling away his arrogance, sharpening his vision, and forcing him to grow into an artist with a voice no one could ignore. And the same is true for you. Your pain is not your enemy. It is your hidden power waiting to be unlocked. Pain as a teacher. Think of school. You pay a cost to learn: money, time, effort. But the knowledge you gain is worth far more than the price you pay. Pain is the same way. Every setback is tuition. Every loss is a lesson. Every heartbreak is a class you cannot skip. The same crushing weight that crumbles weak rocks creates beautiful diamonds. The same hot fire that melts cheap metal strengthens steel. And the same painful trials that break ordinary people forge extraordinary leaders. Your pain is not wasted. It is your training ground. The muscle that must break to grow. If you've ever lifted weights, you know how muscles grow. They don't grow stronger by sitting on the couch. They grow when they face resistance. When they are pushed, stretched, and even torn apart on the smallest level. Each repetition creates tiny tears in the muscle. And when the muscle heals, it comes back bigger and stronger than before. Your character works the same way. Every problem you face is like resistance training for your soul. Every fear you conquer builds courage. Every setback you overcome creates determination. Every time you keep moving when you want to quit, you are building a strength that can't be bought or borrowed. Without struggle, there is no growth. Lessons that last forever. Years from now, when you've reached the success you're chasing, you'll look back at these hard times differently. You'll see that the tears, the rejections, the nights when you thought you couldn't go on, those were the very things shaping you into who you are. You'll realize that winners are not the ones who avoid problems. Winners are the ones who face the biggest problems and learn the deepest lessons. Pain is temporary, but the lessons you take from it last forever. Why God breaks pride before building success. There is one dangerous thing that can ruin success before it even begins: pride. Pride whispers, "You did this all on your own." Pride convinces you that you're invincible, untouchable, above the rules. Pride tells you that other people don't matter, only you do. And history shows us what happens next. Look at leaders who became arrogant after their success. They rose quickly, but they fell even faster. Their pride destroyed everything they built. That is why God breaks down pride before He builds up true success. It is not punishment. It is protection. When life forces you to start over, when you're humbled to ask for help, when you admit you don't have all the answers, this is not weakness. This is preparation. It is teaching you that real power comes from knowing your limits. Real strength comes from admitting your weakness. Real wisdom comes from realizing how much you don't yet know. Emptying the cup. Imagine trying to pour water into a cup that's already full. Nothing new can enter until the old is emptied. The same is true for you. If your heart is full of arrogance, entitlement, and fake confidence, there is no space for true wisdom or strength. The breaking process empties the cup. It strips away the false pride, the shallow ego, the illusion that you deserve success without earning it, and in that empty space, something greater is poured in: humility, clarity, and real confidence that comes from surviving the storm. roots that can withstand any storm. Picture two trees. One grows in a quiet valley with no wind. The other grows on a hillside where strong winds blow every day. The valley tree grows quickly, tall and thin. But its roots remain shallow. When a real storm comes, it topples easily. The hillside tree, however, faces wind every day. It grows slower, but its roots dig deeper and deeper into the soil. When the storm arrives, it does not fall, it stands unshaken. Your humbling experiences work just like those winds. They may feel like they are holding you back, but they are actually forcing your roots of character to grow deeper. Later, when the storms of life come, you will stand strong. Humility before leadership. The greatest leaders in history all walked through seasons of humbling before they rose to greatness. Moses tended sheep in the wilderness before leading a nation. Abraham Lincoln faced repeated failures before becoming president. Even modern business leaders and innovators were humbled by bankruptcy, rejection, or loss before they built lasting success. Why? Because humility taught them that leadership is not about serving themselves. It is about serving others. People don't follow arrogance. They follow those who have been tested, who understand struggle, and who lead with compassion. When you are humble, people want to support you. They believe in you, because they know you're not just chasing success for yourself, you're building something that will help others too. Isolation before elevation. Right before your biggest breakthrough, you may notice something painful. People start leaving. Friends drift away. Family members doubt you. People you thought would stand beside you vanish. It feels like abandonment, but it is actually preparation. Eagles don't fly in flocks. Lions don't travel in herds. And people destined for greatness don't always walk with the crowd. Being alone teaches you three powerful lessons. 1. It reveals who's real. Fake friends disappear in hard times, but true ones remain. 2. It forces self-reliance. When no one comes to rescue you, you discover that you can rescue yourself. 3. It creates space for growth. You cannot transform into your future self while clinging to your past identity. Aloneness is not abandonment, it is the final stage of preparation before elevation. The chapter ahead. So remember this: your pain is your school, your pride must be broken before success, and your isolation is not punishment but proof you are almost ready to rise. The world is shaping you. Like fire refines gold, like wind strengthens trees, like resistance grows muscle. And in the next part, we will go deeper into a truth that will change how you see every trial. Your pain has a purpose. Nothing you've endured is wasted. Every tear, every rejection, every loss is being transformed into fuel for your future. End of part 2. 1030 words. Backhand index pointing right. Do you want me to go ahead and draft part 3? Your pain has purpose. Now, in the same story-driven Napoleon Hill style? Part 3. Isolation before elevation. Inspired by Napoleon Hill's storytelling style. The hook. Alone in the cabin in the mountains of Colorado. A young man once lived alone in a small wooden cabin. He had lost his job in the city. His friends had turned their backs, and his family thought he had failed. At first, the silence crushed him. The loneliness felt unbearable. He wanted to run back to the noise of the city, even if it meant surrounding himself with people who didn't care about him. But slowly, something changed. In the quiet of the mountains, he began to hear a new voice, his own. He started writing down his thoughts, working with his hands, and thinking deeply about the kind of man he wanted to become. Years later, he returned to the city, not as a defeated man, but as a leader with clarity, vision, and unshakable confidence. What looked like isolation had been his preparation for elevation. And the same is true for you. Why winners value being alone. Most people are terrified of being alone. They'd rather spend time with people who hurt them than sit quietly by themselves. But the truth is, isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. Think of a caterpillar. It doesn't transform into a butterfly at a party. It transforms alone, inside a dark, quiet cocoon. Your time of isolation is your cocoon. It is where the old you dies and the new you is born. When the approval of others disappears, you learn to approve of yourself. When the praise fades, you discover your own voice. When all the noise dies down, your true strength finally rises. Isolation reveals who you are when everything else is stripped away. The seed beneath the soil. A seed, when planted, looks like it has been buried. Hidden in the dirt, in darkness, with no one watching, it might feel forgotten. But what is really happening? The seed is not dead, it is preparing. Its roots are growing strong underground so that, when spring arrives, it can push upward and break through the soil. Your life works the same way. When you feel buried, you are really being planted. When you feel forgotten, you are actually being prepared. Your time in the dark is not wasted. It is where your roots of strength, courage, and faith grow deep. The stripping before the blessing hears a truth that few want to hear. Before God gives you everything you've asked for, He often takes away everything you've leaned on. Why? Because you can't hold new blessings with hands still full of old baggage. That's why relationships suddenly end. Jobs vanish overnight. Money dries up without warning. At first, it feels like cruelty. But look closer. The removal is making room for something greater. Think of a farmer preparing his field. Before he plants a new harvest, he clears away the old crops, weeds, and rocks. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction. But in reality, it's preparation for abundance. Your life is the same. The relationships you lost were blocking healthier ones. The job that disappeared was keeping you from a career that would fulfill you. The money that vanished was forcing you to build skills and faith that money alone could never give. Every loss is not punishment, it is pruning. And pruning always comes before the harvest. Faith in the stripping. This process requires faith. Faith stronger than most people will ever develop. When the job is gone, can you still believe something better is on the way? When relationships end, can you trust that the right people will find you? When your money runs out, can you think like someone who will soon prosper? This is the test. The stripping is not random. It is deliberate. It removes what is good enough, so you can step into what is truly great. Every ending is secretly a new beginning. Every loss is clearing space for a greater gain. What looks like punishment is really a promotion in disguise. Pressure creates power. Now let's talk about pressure. The kind that feels like it's crushing you. Diamonds are created under enormous pressure and heat. Pearls are formed because of irritation inside an oyster. Muscles grow by pushing against resistance. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your power. Think about grapes. On the vine, they are sweet, but ordinary. To become wine, they must be crushed. The crushing looks destructive, but it creates something more valuable, more lasting. Your struggles are crushing the ordinary parts of you to bring out the extraordinary. They are breaking down the surface so that your true strength, your true brilliance, can shine. Choosing pressure over comfort. Most people run from pressure. They want easy jobs, comfortable routines, and smooth lives. But He's never made anyone great. Athletes understand this truth. They don't grow by lifting light weights. They grow by lifting what feels almost impossible. The resistance is the very thing that makes them stronger. Your life is no different. Every problem you face, every hardship you endure, every impossible challenge you confront, it's all weight training for your soul. Small pressure creates small results. Heavy pressure creates massive transformation. The wilderness before the promise. History teaches us that every great story includes a wilderness season. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading his people. Jesus spent 40 days alone in the wilderness before his mission began. Leaders, inventors, business giants, and visionaries all have faced their own wilderness moments. The wilderness strips away distractions. There's no crowd to impress, no noise to drown out your doubts. It's just you, your thoughts, and your faith. It is in this lonely wilderness where clarity is born, where vision becomes sharp, where purpose becomes unshakable. It may feel like abandonment, but it is really an appointment with destiny. The lesson of resilience here is the most important truth. The breaking you're going through is not weakening you, it's building resilience. Every time you get knocked down and rise again, you become harder to defeat. Every time you lose and rebuild, you become harder to break. Resilience is like medicine. A doctor gives you a small dose of a disease so your body learns to fight it. Later, when the real sickness comes, you are already immune. Life works the same way. Every setback you've faced has trained you for the future. Each loss made you immune to fear. Each rejection taught you to persevere. Each failure made you stronger. You are becoming like a tree tested by storms, flexible, rooted, and unshakable. Others may collapse when the winds rise. You will bend, but you will not break. Closing the chapter. So remember, isolation is not punishment, it is your cocoon. Stripping is not cruelty, it is preparation. Pressure is not crushing you, it is creating you. Every lonely night, every loss, Every crushing weight is making you into someone unbreakable. And in the next chapter, we will dive into the powerful truth that ties it all together. Your pain has purpose. Nothing you've been through is wasted. Every tear, every test, every trial has been preparing you for the promise that lies ahead. End of part 3. 1025 words. Do you want me to move forward and draft part 4, Your Pain Has Purpose, in the same Napoleon Hill style next? Part 4. The hidden power of faith in the darkest hour. Have you ever stood in the middle of a storm, with rain pounding your face, wind screaming in your ears, and thought to yourself, "This is it. I don't know if I can keep going"? Most people have. That exact moment, when everything feels like it's falling apart, when your dreams seem so far away you can't even see them anymore, that's the place where greatness is born. Because faith doesn't grow in the sunshine. Faith is created in the dark. The story of Thomas and his final $50. Let me tell you a story. A man named Thomas had been working for years to build his dream business. He poured every dollar, every ounce of energy, every late night hour into his vision. At first, it seemed like it might succeed. A few sales trickled in. Friends congratulated him. Family members nodded politely. But as time passed, things began to collapse. Bills stacked up. Creditors called. His closest friends stopped answering his phone calls. One night, Thomas sat in a tiny apartment, looking at his bank account. Only $50 left. That $50 wasn't enough to pay his rent, buy groceries, or even cover gas for the car. He felt crushed, humiliated, and alone. In that moment, he faced a decision that every successful person eventually faces. Should he give up, or should he dare to believe that this painful moment was actually preparing him for something greater? Why God allows the stripping when everything you depend on is stripped away, it feels cruel. But Napoleon Hill often said that every setback carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Thomas didn't know it yet, but that empty bank account was his greatest gift. Why? Because with nothing left to lose, he finally stopped relying on everyone else's approval. He stopped trying to impress people who didn't care about him. He stopped clinging to old habits that weren't working. And for the first time in years, he sat in silence, prayed, and asked, "What am I really capable of? What is God trying to teach me right now?" That prayer unlocked something inside him, faith. Not blind hope, but the kind of unshakable belief that says, "No matter what it looks like right now, my future is bigger than my problems." The caterpillar and the darkness. Faith always begins in darkness. Think of a caterpillar. If you looked at it crawling on the ground, you'd never imagine it could fly. But when the time comes for transformation, it doesn't climb to the top of a tree and throw a party. No, it goes into isolation. It builds a cocoon. From the outside, the cocoon looks like death. Still. Silent. Hopeless. But inside, a miracle is happening. The old self is being stripped away so something new and powerful can emerge. Your darkest days work the same way. They are not your burial ground. They are your birthing room. How Thomas turned $50 into a fortune. Back to Thomas. That night, instead of quitting, he wrote down every skill, every connection, every strength he still had. He realized he had been chasing too many ideas at once, spreading himself too thin. His failure forced him to focus. With his last $50, he didn't buy comfort food or waste it on distractions. He invested it into a simple ad for a service he could deliver himself, consulting small businesses on marketing strategies. Within a week, he landed a client who paid him $500. Within a month, he had 3 more. Within a year, he wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. But here's the truth, the money wasn't the real reward. The real reward was the faith he developed that night when he had nothing left. Because once you learn to believe in yourself when everything looks impossible, no challenge can ever truly defeat you again. The seed and the soil. Napoleon Hill used to say, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Notice the word seed. Seeds don't look powerful. They look small, fragile, even useless. But when planted in soil, given time, and nurtured, they grow into trees that feed generations. Your struggles are seeds. Losing that job? A seed. Going through heartbreak? A seed. Feeling broke and forgotten? Another seed. The soil is your faith. If you bury those seeds in anger, bitterness, or self-pity, they die. But if you bury them in faith, patience, and persistence, they eventually grow into blessings far greater than anything you lost. Why faith matters more than talent. Thomas wasn't the smartest, the richest, or the most connected. But he had something many people never develop: faith. And that faith made him unstoppable. Think about it. Talent might get you started, but it won't carry you through years of rejection. Intelligence might solve some problems, but it won't quiet the voice in your head that says, "You're not good enough." Connections might open doors, but they won't help when every single one of those doors slams shut. Only faith can do that. Faith is the ability to stand in front of a storm and whisper, "This storm is shaping me, not destroying me." Faith is the courage to look at your empty bank account and say, "I will rise again." Faith is the confidence to face loneliness and believe, "This is preparing me for something bigger." Your darkest hour is your turning point, so here's the truth, my friend. If you're in your darkest hour right now, don't curse it. Don't run from it. Don't call it the end of your story. Because this moment, the very one that feels unbearable, might be the exact moment your real life begins. Just like Thomas, you may be sitting with your own last $50. It could be your final ounce of energy, your last bit of hope, or your last chance before you walk away from a dream. That's the turning point. That's the place where ordinary people quit, and extraordinary people are born. If you choose faith, you unlock a hidden power that nothing in this world can stop. Closing thought: remember this. God never strips something away without planting something greater in its place. Your pain is not punishment. It is preparation. Your loneliness is not abandonment. It is transformation. Your last $50 is not the end. It is the beginning of a fortune. If you dare to believe. So when the night feels darkest, hold on. That's when the seed inside you is breaking open. That's when your wings are forming. That's when your faith is becoming unshakable. Because in Napoleon Hill's words, every adversity brings with it the seed of an equal or greater advantage. Your seed is in the soil. Your harvest is coming. Don't give up before the miracle. Why heavy checkmark? That's part 4, story-driven, Napoleon Hill style, about 1,000 words, written in simple, powerful American language. Would you like me to continue with part 5 in the same format, with a new hook and story, so the full 6-part series is ready? Part 5. The gift of isolation before elevation. Have you ever noticed that right before something big happens in your life, people start disappearing, friends stop calling, family members doubt you, coworkers whisper behind your back? Suddenly, you feel like you're walking through life completely alone. Most people panic when this happens. They think they've failed. They think they've been abandoned. But the truth is much deeper. Isolation always comes before elevation. The story of Sarah and the empty room. Sarah was a young woman with a dream. She wanted to write a book that would change lives. At first, when she shared her dream, everyone cheered. Friends told her how amazing she was. Family members bragged about her ambition. But when the writing actually began, things changed. Her friends stopped inviting her out because she was too busy. Her family started asking, "Why waste your time? Writing doesn't pay the bills." Even her closest partner said, "I don't see the point. Maybe you should quit." Sarah found herself sitting in an empty room, alone with nothing but her notebook and her thoughts. At first, she cried. She felt abandoned. She wondered if maybe they were right, maybe she was wasting her time. But slowly, she began to realize something powerful. That empty room wasn't a prison. It was a cocoon. Why winners walk alone. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Great achievement is usually born of great sacrifice, and is never the result of selfishness." Sacrifice often looks like loneliness. It looks like sitting at home while your friends are out having fun. It looks like saying no to gossip, distractions, and meaningless relationships. It looks like long nights where the only person cheering for you is the small voice inside your own heart. But here's the truth: eagles don't fly in flocks. Lions don't hunt in crowds. And people destined for greatness don't travel in large groups. Isolation doesn't mean you've been abandoned. It means you're being separated. Separated from the noise. Separated from distractions. Separated from people who would keep you small. The seed in the soil. Think again about a seed. When a farmer plants it, the seed is buried underground, away from the sunlight, hidden in darkness. It seems like the seed has been forgotten. But what's really happening? In that quiet, lonely place, the seed is growing roots. It is preparing to burst through the soil stronger than ever before. Your season of isolation is the same. It may feel dark. It may feel lonely. But it's where your roots of strength, character, and vision are being formed. Without that underground season, there is no harvest. Sarah's breakthrough back to Sarah. Day after day, she wrote in that empty room. No applause. No encouragement. Just silence. But with every page she wrote, she discovered something important. She didn't need approval anymore. She didn't need constant support. Her own belief in her dream became stronger than everyone else's doubt. Months later, Sarah finished her book. She self-published it, not knowing what would happen. At first, only a handful of people bought it. But slowly, word spread. Reviews came in. Within a year, Sarah's book reached thousands of readers, and her story inspired people around the world. Looking back, Sarah realized that isolation wasn't punishment. It was preparation. If she had stayed surrounded by voices of doubt, she never would have finished. That empty room was her training ground. Why isolation protects you. God often removes people from your life before your breakthrough for 3 reasons. 1. To reveal who is real. Fair weather friends disappear when the storms come. True supporters stay. Isolation shows you who you can really trust. Point 2. To teach self-reliance. When no one comes to rescue you, you learn that you are strong enough to rescue yourself. Point 3. To create space for transformation. You cannot become your new self while clinging to your old life. Some people and habits must leave so you can grow. The eagle's flight. Eagles are born in nests high on cliffs. When the young eagle is ready to fly, the mother eagle does something shocking. She pushes it out of the nest. At first, the eagle flaps wildly, terrified, alone, plummeting through the air. It feels like death. But in that desperate moment, the eagle discovers its wings. It learns it was built to fly all along. Your season of isolation is the same push. It feels like you've been abandoned, but really, you're being taught how to fly, how to use your isolation instead of fearing loneliness. Embrace it. Use it as a gift. Here's how. Listen to your own voice. Without the noise of others, your true desires become clear. Build discipline. Isolation is the perfect time to develop habits that will carry you when the spotlight comes. Grow spiritually. Pray, meditate, or reflect deeply. This is where wisdom flows. Sharpen your skills. While the world is distracted, you can prepare in silence. Because when the elevation comes, and it will come, you won't have time to prepare. You must be ready. Napoleon Hill's secret. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the most successful men of his time. He noticed something. Before each man achieved greatness, he went through a period of loneliness. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, all of them had seasons when they were doubted, mocked, and abandoned. But instead of quitting, they used that isolation to think bigger, plan better, and grow stronger. Their solitude became their advantage. Your time alone is sacred, so if you find yourself alone right now, don't despair. Don't rush to fill the silence with meaningless company. Don't confuse isolation with failure. Instead, recognize it for what it really is, sacred preparation. Sarah's empty room. The eagle's push. The seed underground. These are not endings. They are beginnings. Your isolation is not about who left. It's about who you are becoming. Closing thought. Remember this. Elevation always follows isolation. That quiet season, where you feel invisible and forgotten, is the exact place where you are being shaped into the person who can handle the blessing ahead. So embrace the silence. Trust the process. Keep working in your empty room. Because soon, when the spotlight shines, the world will see what you were building in secret. And they will call you an overnight success. But you will know the truth. Your elevation was born in your isolation. Why heavy checkmark? That's part 5, written Napoleon Hill. Style, story-driven, 1,000 words, simple and powerful for American readers. Do you want me to go ahead and write part 6, the final piece to complete the 6-part series? Part 6, the final step, faith and action. At the end of every journey, there comes a moment where nothing is left but one choice. To act in faith. You've endured failure. You've walked through storms. You've been abandoned, doubted, and left in isolation. Now comes the test Napoleon Hill called the turning point of all success. It is the moment where you must step forward even when you cannot see the ground beneath your feet. The story of Daniel and the Bridge of Fog. Daniel had dreamed of starting his own company for years. He had the plan, the product, and even a small savings account set aside. But fear kept him frozen. What if I fail? He thought. What if I lose everything? What if people laugh at me? One morning, Daniel went walking near the river in his town. A heavy fog covered the water. From the shore, he could see the outline of a bridge, but most of it was hidden. It looked incomplete, like the bridge ended in midair. A man beside him stepped onto the bridge. Aren't you afraid it doesn't go all the way across? Daniel asked. The man smiled. It always looks broken in the fog. But if you take the first step, the next part appears. One step at a time, the way always reveals itself. Those words struck Daniel like lightning. He realized his dream was that bridge. He would never see the whole path. He just had to take the first step. That very night, Daniel launched his company. And just as the man promised, each step revealed the next. Within a few years, Daniel's company grew far beyond what he thought possible, all because he had the courage to walk into the fog. Faith is the final ingredient Napoleon Hill discovered, after 25 years of studying the most successful men of his era, that they all shared one final trait: faith in action. Not blind faith. Not empty hope. But a deep, burning belief that if they moved forward with persistence, unseen forces would come to their aid. He wrote. When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. In simple words, when you act in faith, life responds. Why action matters more than waiting. Faith without action is daydreaming. Action without faith is exhausting. But when faith and action combine, they unlock miracles. Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb by wishing for it. He failed over 10,000 times, yet each attempt was powered by faith that one day, the bulb would shine. Think of Henry Ford. Everyone laughed at the horseless carriage. But Ford's faith drove him to act until the first Model T rolled onto the streets. Think of your own life. How many dreams have you postponed, waiting for the perfect time? The truth is, there will never be a perfect time. The fog will never clear completely. The bridge will always look broken. The only way to cross is to take the step. The law of the harvest. Remember the farmer. He plants the seed. He waters it. He waits patiently. But there comes a day when he must harvest. If he hesitates, the crop rots in the field. You have planted your seeds. You have endured your storms. You have survived your season of isolation. Now the harvest is ready. Do not let fear of failure keep you from reaping what you've sown. The price of hesitation. Hill told a story of a man who quit just 3 feet from gold. He had spent months digging, investing all he had, but when the treasure didn't appear, he gave up. He sold his tools to a junk dealer. The junk dealer hired a mining expert who discovered that the man had stopped digging only 3 feet away from the richest gold vein in Colorado. How many of us stop 3 feet from our own gold? How many of us quit just before the breakthrough? Faith means digging 3 more feet. The lions roar in the wild. The lion is not the fastest animal. He cannot outrun the cheetah. He cannot overpower the elephant. Yet he is called the king of the jungle. Why? Because when the lion roars, everything in the jungle listens. The roar is his faith in action. His belief in his authority makes him king. You, too, must roar. Not because you are the strongest or the smartest, but because you believe in yourself so deeply that the world has no choice but to make room for you. How to put faith in action. 1. Decide. Indecision is the enemy of success. Make a clear choice about what you want. 2. Act immediately. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start where you are, with what you have. 3. Persist. Obstacles are not signs to quit. They are tests of your faith. 4. Affirm daily. Speak your goal into existence. Remind yourself every morning and night. 5. Expect results. Approach your dream with the certainty that success is coming. The final lesson. Every great story, from Sarah in her empty room to Daniel on the foggy bridge, ends the same way, with a leap of faith, not because they had all the answers, not because they saw the full path, but because they chose to trust the process, trust themselves, and trust that the universe rewards the brave. Napoleon Hill's research proved this truth again and again. The world always makes way for the man or woman who knows where they are going and refuses to quit. Closing thought: this is the final part of our journey together. We've walked through failure, storms, doubt, betrayal, and isolation. And now we arrive here, the final step. The choice is yours. You can stay on the shore, waiting for the fog to clear. Or you can take that step of faith, knowing the bridge will appear beneath your feet. The future belongs to those who dare. Fire your call to action. If this 6-part journey inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. White heavy check mark. Subscribe so you never miss more life-changing lessons. White heavy check mark. Share this series with a friend who needs encouragement right now. White heavy check mark. Comment below. What step of faith are you ready to take today? Remember, success is not given, it is claimed. Your time is now. Take the step. That's the final part 6. Faith in action. 1,000 words, story-driven, Napoleon Hill style, with a clear subscribe, share, comment call to action.